Hey guys, you're watching Absolute Geeks with me, TJ Tech. Today we're going to be looking at the HTC U Ultra. Here we have the black 64GB model, but you can also get this phone in two other colors, blue, white, and it has a 128GB option as well. The phone costs about 2,200 dirhams. It's really hard for me to review this phone because very few things on this phone are actually a standout good feature. So I'm just going to start talking about the best things about this phone and then go from there. Starting off, one of the selling points of the HTC U is the screens, and with this phone you get two. The main screen, which is a 5.7-inch Quad HD display, but this is an LCD panel, which is kind of a letdown because the colors are just not as vivid, and honestly it seems like such a waste of battery. I would have much preferred an AMOLED 1080 screen because that looks so much better and you would save a lot of battery. Having said that, the secondary screen, which sits above the main screen on the right of the front-facing camera, the secondary screen is actually really good. It's got a few features like contacts, app launchers, reminders, calendars, etc. But what I think is its best feature is the notifications, especially when showing progress. For example, when uploading files to OneDrive or Dropbox, it shows you the progress of your upload. Similarly, when downloading a file, it does the same thing. Even if you have something like apps being installed, progress with that, it's pretty cool. Even app-specific notifications are displayed here. All in all, I think it's a really cool feature, even if it's a bit limited. This phone has two relatively high-spec cameras. The primary rear-facing camera is a 12-megapixel shooter, and it's quite excellent. It's got a super fast laser autofocus with f1.8 aperture. It even has optical image stabilization, which I think is a great feature. And actually, it takes some really good pictures. You can also record in 4K, which is a great bonus. But all this means that the phone has a ghastly camera bump. It's so huge that dust kept accumulating on the sides of the phone even after trying to clean it. And honestly, in this day and age, we just don't need such a bump. The phone also comes with a 16 megapixel front-facing camera, which I thought was very meh. For video recording, the phone has about 4 mics, which is all over, so you get this kind of 3D sound. The sound recording is superior. Again, another great feature. From the performance point of view, this phone has a quad-core Snapdragon 821 with 4GB of RAM. This should translate to great performance, but strangely, games would drop frames every now and then. I'm not sure why this is, or if it's just the review unit, but the dropped frames were mainly while rendering in-game videos. The games that I tried out were Mario Run and Asphalt 8, just like some of my other reviews. And on the other hand, multitasking worked quite well. I was able to watch a video while doing some basic web browsing. It was very smooth, and it made me feel like I could count on it for some pretty heavy tasks. So the phone supports the newest USB Type-C port, and it even has Qualcomm's Quick Charge. The fingerprint reader is also super fast and it worked really well, quite flawlessly to be honest. Something that I really like about the HTC is that the HTC Sense UI is minimalistic and I think it's just perfect. Also, the phone is beautiful. This design is actually really good. Its mirror finish is it's beautiful to look at. Even though it makes it a little hard to photograph, I think it just looks amazing. But my favorite design feature is actually that ridged power button. It's got a different texture, so it's really easy to get at with touch, and I think it's just a brilliant attention to detail. It's one of those understated design features that I absolutely love. On the flip side of design, that camera bump is hideous. It just looks completely ugly. It's awful. I just don't understand why in this day and age we need such a huge camera bump. It doesn't make any sense. The camera bump is almost as thick as a 1 dirham coin. It's about the size of a 25 fil coin and a little thicker than that. Also, the phone doesn't even have a headphone jack. It just doesn't make sense. But on the headphone jack, that leads me to the audio of this phone. So the phone boosts the HTC boom sound, which would be a super exciting feature. However, the speakers are very average. The phone does have a stereo speaker setup. However, the top speaker is very soft, and if you cover the bottom speaker, which is actually pointing downwards, you barely hear anything. So I figured, let me just do a hearing test and hear for yourself. The headphones that come along with the HTC are actually pretty cool. They are USB Type-C connected headphones. They look nice and were quite comfortable to use. HTC also has some interesting audio features which personalizes the sound to your ears. So it kind of sends some kind of ultrasonic beam through your ears, and then it detects your ear canals or some fancy thing like that. I'm not really sure how well or bad that works in the short amount of time that I had to test this phone, but interesting feature, I guess. The phone sounded really good on headphones. One other really bad thing and quite disappointing feature about this phone is the battery. It comes with a 3000 milliamp hour battery, which I think is really small, especially for such a huge form factor. I just don't understand it. The tiny battery coupled with that screen is a recipe for short battery times. Some other bad features about this phone is that one of my favorite features about Android is the number row that comes above the QWERTY keyboard, especially on bigger phones. The HTC U Ultra doesn't have that. Someone please explain this to me. I just don't get it. It's a huge phone, big screen, big body. Why take away the number pad? It's an amazing feature. Another issue I have with flagship phones is their outdated software. So this kind of applies to HTC too. When I first launched the phone, I updated about 3 times and still I ended up with only Android 7.0. The latest version is 7.1.1. I know it's a small issue which you can overlook, but come on, we're paying for a flagship, so it should have the latest software. Another strange thing that happened with this phone is that I kept having a back button bug. So while testing the phone, it started doing something rather odd. It would go into a sort of never-ending back button loop. It made doing anything on this phone supremely frustrating. So basically every time I opened an app or tried to watch a video or something like that, the phone would give the haptic feedback as if to signal that I pressed the back button, and then it would just start going back and start quitting everything. This would happen even if the phone was on the table, provided the phone was unlocked. So I don't know if this was limited to the review unit or something. If you have this kind of experience, do let me know in the comment section below, because that was quite frustrating to use. So to summarize my experience with the HTC U Ultra, this phone baffles me. It's a hefty price tag for a hefty phone with average features and just strange shortcomings. It's like HTC was trying to make something great, started off that way, and then 2 days in, forgot what they were building and just made something random. Keeping everything in mind, I really can't recommend this phone. That's been it about the HTC U Ultra. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and want to watch more like it, don't forget to subscribe to Absolute Geeks, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel, TJ Tech. Links to everything will be in the description. Thanks for watching.